Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the news in the English language on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for being with us. Our major stories tonight is the rainy season. It has been raining continuously in the city of Douala, and most businesses are witnessing a go-slow because of the rains. Business persons in Douala complain the rain is negatively affecting their businesses. In this newscast, we take you to some main markets here in the city of Douala. Plus, the traditional ruler of the Bamenju community in the West region, His Majesty Sokunju Jean Rameau, calls on the chiefs of the West region of the country to bury their hatchets and relate peacefully with the Catholic Church. His outing follows various confrontations between the two factions over the respect of tradition and also religion. Those are our major stories, viewers. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin by talking absenteeism at most public offices in Cameroon. Over 300,000 civil servants, according to reports, are always absent from their duty posts in Cameroon. Reacting to this, civil society actors say it is due to several reasons, including the non-use of monitoring systems, favoritism on the part of some officials, and laissez-faire attitude of the Cameroonian government. Lucy Liengu-Ese compiled the reactions of some civil society actors in the report which comes up next.
In Cameroon, absenteeism in the workforce is a significant issue affecting productivity and economic growth. This is evident as more than half of 497 state agents in the public sector are absent from their duty posts. Some of them, according to reports, have traveled abroad but are still receiving their salaries. A civil society actor, Nesto Yenes, thinks the government of Cameroon needs to reconsider some aspects which, according to him, has been neglected.
Pour ce problème-là, il faut à la fois prendre plusieurs bouts.
The main problem is the limited number of workers in the public sector compared to the demand. Secondly, the mentality of Cameroonians, where anyone does what he or she thinks.
La mentalité au Cameroun, c'est laquelle? C'est que tout le monde est patron et chacun fait comme il veut.
During the cabinet meeting held this July, Prime Minister Joseph John Goode expressed grave concerns on the number of absentee workers, who are about 6,000 of them. He urged the ministers concerned to take strict measures to stop the practice.
Par exemple, avec le CGPS et tout ce qui est antilope là.
However, civil society actors wonder why the monitoring and tracking systems are not being used to determine the attendance of workers. Another civil society actor, Ndiki Fandono, goes further to highlight the essence of the biometric attendance system. To him, if this is used, workers will not be able to receive payment without working.
On n'aura plus des mois qui touchent leur salaire, des personnels qui n'ont jamais été fonctionnaires mais qui sont payés par l'argent public.
Addressing absenteeism among public agents is crucial to achieve the objectives of the National Strategy for Development come 2030.
And now over to one of our lead stories. The paramount ruler of the Bamenju people of the West region, His Majesty Jean Rameau Sokunju, says the accusations levied against the Catholic Church by 15 traditional rulers of the West region are unfounded. To him, being religious does not and should not affect our cultural values. He went further to criticize some traditional rulers who are dormant over government's continuous interference in their affairs. Immaculate Fogwe with the details.
Royal Majesty Jean Ramos Sokoju, paramount ruler of the Bamenju clan, dissociates himself from the group of 15 traditional rulers in the West region who, in an open letter addressed to the Bishop of Bafoussam, accused the church of denigrating their custom and tradition. They asked the men of God to desist from wearing the traditional regalia and performing cultural activities during Mass.
I am against the conflict between the Catholic Church and traditional rulers of the West region. Even if I am on my own, I stand on my words. The fact that 15 traditional rulers signed this letter does not mean all traditional rulers in the West region agree with them.
After assisting in a Mass celebrated at the St. Antoine Parish in Bamenju and officiated by the Bishop of Bafoussam alongside the visiting bishop, His Lordship Jerome Fojo from the St. Thomas Virgin Island, the United States, the custodian of culture, His Royal Majesty Jean Ramos Sokoju, insists that the accusation of his peers are unfounded and has a sole aim to instigate conflict between both parties.
You are born a traditional ruler, but you are not God. We all have a supreme leader. In 1975, I was invited to the Vatican by the Pope as a traditional ruler. Why all the senseless attacks?
The traditional ruler reiterates that he has never witnessed any sort of discord between both institutions since he ascended the throne. He went ahead to criticize some traditional rulers who see themselves as God's substitute.
Traditional rulers should rather worry about government continuous interference in their affairs. It's not normal that a traditional ruler is appointed by government authorities. Those are some of the things we need to talk about.
The officiating bishop, Monsignor Jerome Fojo, called on Christians to stay connected to their roots while emphasizing on the need for traditional rulers not to see the church as an enemy.
Hopefully peace and love reigns, because that is what the church preaches. In other news, inhabitants of the Ndum2 village in the Mbanga subdivision of the Mongo division say they have somehow been abandoned by the local authorities. Ndum2 village is without electricity, water, and they also lack good roads. They believe that the local authorities have not been doing their jobs effectively. Samanji Khan Gabriel now takes us to Ndum2 in the Mbanga subdivision of the Littoral region.
Even though from the first view of the village, one will think it's abandoned, Ndum2 village still have some few inhabitants residing there. The village is lacking water, which ironically, they are the ones distributing water to other nearby villages.
For water, no problem for group.
We used to have our water here, which was distributed to Ndum 1, Ndo 1, and Dikuma 1. The main problem we have is our generator, which has a technical fault. The technician went to the mayor to request for means to repair it, but the mayor said there was no money.
They try to see the way for repair it, but you know get mean for repair the generator, so water stop.
As a result of the lack of means to repair the generator, they have been without potable water for months. In their own attempt to know how much it will cost them to get the generator fixed, the technician said,
no problem for money.
After checking what was wrong, the technician billed us more than 2 million francs CFA, which was more than us.
Look, check our generator. They say we need something like more than 2 million for repair the generator.
Water is not the only problem disturbing the inhabitants of Ndum2 village. They are also in need of better roads, because they live on their farm produce, but the roads are inaccessible for them to transport them to the market. The people of Ndum2 are now hoping that the local council authorities of Mbanga will come to their aid.
And now we talk about the environment. Cameroon, often referred to as Africa in miniature, faces significant difficulties in preserving its rich biodiversity. This is due to deforestation, climate change, poaching, illegal wildlife trade, among others. In efforts to address these, stakeholders from the Ministry of Environment and Nature Protection and those from the Worldwide Fund for Nature met in Douala for the launching of the second phase of the Biodiversity Project. Lucy Liengu Esie has the details.
Cameroon's rich biodiversity for years has been facing numerous challenges that threaten its ecosystem and species. The preservation of biodiversity is a problem, especially in regions where the growing population depend on natural resources for livelihood. To enhance the conservation of biodiversity and promote sustainable management of natural resources, the Ministry of Environment and Nature Protection, alongside the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, had launched the first phase of the BioDive project from 2019 to 2022.
We had the adoption of the new Global Biodiversity Framework, and this is an international guidance for countries to see how we can preserve our biodiversity, and the Cameroon is engaged to revise the second version of the strategy and national plan on biodiversity. We call it NBSAP 2.
However, the stumbling blocks experienced in the phase 1 of the BioDive project, according to stakeholders, necessitate continuous efforts. Meeting here in the city of Douala for the launching of the second phase, stakeholders highlight.
Phase 2 is to support the national authorities in order to include biodiversity in sectoral public policies, having in mind that those two sectors that I just mentioned previously, agriculture and infrastructure, are having a negative impact on biodiversity. So how to make sure that that biodiversity is now included in those agriculture and infrastructure policies and other sectoral policies.
The 2 days workshop on phase 2 of the BioDive project also has as objective to involve local communities in the conservation efforts and reinforce collaboration among stakeholders to ensure a long-term protection of Cameroon's rich biodiversity.
With the high rate of unemployment in Cameroon and the unbearable economic hardship, the United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, is supporting the training of over 100 youths in digital trade in the economic capital Douala to become startups, an initiative which aims at enabling youth, especially women and girls, to use the cyberspace to facilitate trade and entrepreneurship. Innocent Aze tells us more in this report.
Initiative by Mountain Hub aims at enabling 125 young Cameroonians to be self-employed through start-up in a country with chronic unemployment and economic hardship.
And hackathon is like a digital marathon where we bring young people to work in teams for 48 hours on a particular topic. And in Douala, we have chosen digital trade. For us, digital trade is very important because we are the heart of the economic capital, right? And all what happens in this city is trade. They're going to work, brainstorm, and they're going to come out with different kind of products. Some are going to come with application, web application, mobile application that involve different things to facilitate digital trade in Cameroon.
Being a strong digital hub within the innovation ecosystem in Cameroon, the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, stands as a pillar to the Mountain Hub initiative.
We are here to promote inclusive digital systems by pushing these young people to think out of their comfort spaces, by making them to know that they are change makers of the digital ecosystems that we want to build, the future digital ecosystem that we want. Without innovation, we cannot overcome the challenges of our time.
UNDP also wants to demystify the cyberspace.
We want to make the female teams to know that they can do it. There is no barrier to digitalization because digitalization is the future.
A delegation in Douala will constitute the 300 youth who will be participating in a rich Cameroon International Tech Summit in October in Yaoundé.
We're going to have 300 young people, 60 teams from the 10 regions of Cameroon building digital products at Palais de Congrès in October. There we are going to bring all the actors of technology in Cameroon to discuss on the way forward. And we think that if we do something like this, then we can get young people more interested in digital technology and they can create something for themselves.
Youths, especially women, are encouraged and reminded they have the power to unpack societal solutions to different community challenges without necessarily inventing solutions from abroad.
And now we talk sports. We talk the Olympic Games in Paris, France. Giorgio Kamso could not get the qualification ticket at the Olympic Games in Paris, arriving at the 6th position of the men's freestyle swimming. Kamso was eliminated at the first round. He is a Cameroonian swimmer. This is coming when South Africa through Tajana gets a gold medal. Let's now have more of the participation or performances of African teams or athletes in this report compiled by Samaji and Gabriel.
After the elimination of Sarah Amfunana at the Olympic Games of Paris 2024, Giorgio Kamso also fell in his first entry into the tournament. Giorgio came out 6th out of 7 in heat 1 of the men's freestyle swimming competition. To some experts, Giorgio Kamso lacked experience and was not well prepared. All eyes will now be on the remaining qualification series. Though Cameroon is still waiting to have a first medal, other African countries like South Africa got a gold medal. Tatiana Schoenmaker finished first of the 200-meter breaststroke. The 27-year-old girl achieved the double after dominating the event with a time of 1 minute, 5 seconds and 28 tears, thus winning the gold medal for South Africa and the African continent in a whole. Egypt, on their part, lost against Italy 0-3 in the men volleyball category, but will have a chance to win a medal if they beat Brazil on Friday. In the judo women 63-kilogram category, Central African Republic Nadia Machiko and Algerian Amin Belkadi both lost during the qualification step and are both eliminated from the competition. So far, South Africa is the only African nation to have won a gold medal.
Cedric Chakultio reporting there. And viewers, we sincerely apologize. We will be coming back to the reports on the hurdles faced by business persons in the city of Douala during this rainy season. That would be in our subsequent news editions. And that does it for the first part of the news this evening. Don't go away, Talking Point comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. This evening we will be talking education, and our guest tonight is Christophe Ratzinhela. He is a researcher in applied mathematics and also the head of the International Center for Applied Sciences and Mathematics. He has been in Douala for a one-week conference on mathematics and applied sciences at the University of Douala. Professor, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight on Equinoxe Television. Like I mentioned earlier, for over a week now, you were in Douala, or you've been here with several other researchers from across the globe, the world. You have been discussing how to simplify mathematics, among other topics. Tell us more about your gathering at the University of Douala for 1 week in Cameroon.
Yes, certainly. Thanks a lot for the invitation. So SIMPA is a French association. As you said, the name is an acronym for International Center of Pure and Applied Mathematics, Centre International de Mathématiques Pure et Appliquées. And its mission now for a bit more than 40 years has been to develop and promote research in mathematics with developing countries. In other words, what we really try to achieve is to try to spread the knowledge of mathematics and also the practice of research everywhere in the world.
Now, Professor Christophe, we know that many students in Cameroon run away from mathematics somehow, like they don't want to hear about it. What resolutions have you people taken or arrived at with the other researchers in Cameroon in relation to encouraging students getting interested in studying mathematics?
I think the problem that you mentioned is a common problem in the world. We see it also in France. And I guess, first having this kind of events like the SIMPA school we are having right now in Douala, which has been organized by Emmanuel Forza from Bamenda and Roger Oyono from French Polynesia. This event will show to the students of the country that actually they can achieve the right background in Cameroon to be able to really be at the level of what is the research internationally. And I think that this is a great motivation. Also, another very nice motivation, of course, is to meet researchers, international experts that sometimes they have only seen names on the books in their country, to meet them, to be able to speak with them, ask questions that sometimes you have been dreaming for asking for years, and also to meet participants from everywhere else in the world, and especially the sub-region of Africa.
Professor Christophe, we know that other colleagues were with you in Cameroon, and they also discussed cybersecurity or cybercrimes, cryptography, among others. Can you explain to us further what was the main focus during that conference in relation to cybersecurity and cryptography?
Yeah, so I mean, the main purpose of this school is to teach the participants about modern cryptography. So cryptography, I mean, is a tool that is very well used now everywhere in the world. I mean, you perfectly know that in our digital world, it is everywhere, in your smartphone, on internet, in your credit card, on passports. And so these professors, they came to explain what was cryptography up to now, and up to a revolution that appeared during the few last years, meaning that now there might be the chance that there is something that you may have heard about, which is a quantum computer. And this means that we will have to switch to a new paradigm, which is post-quantum crypto. So these professors, they come to teach about the modern cryptography and also the next cryptography yet to come.
We also got information that cybersecurity would also be introduced at the University of Bamenda. What exactly is the necessity at this moment?
Now, it comes like a tool to try to boost and make a dynamic around this very nice master that has been started by Emmanuel Forza in Bamenda. So it's a new master focusing on research in cryptography and cybersecurity. And so SIMPA, I mean, what we want to do is to try to create a momentum around this master by bringing the attention of students from Cameroon, obviously, to this very nice and excellent master, but also from institutional leaders, maybe also from politicians in Cameroon, and from all the colleagues of the community in the world.
And Professor, we agreed above that most people, students, run away from mathematics or applied mathematics. Can you now tell us how important, or the importance of doing further research in maths and cryptology, since you made us understand that they are interrelated or connected?
Yes, I mean, for cryptography, it is quite obvious. Maybe you have seen in the news that there have been like many threats. I mean, we all know sometimes that people try to hack our phone, hack our bank account. For this, you need people to be able to understand crypto. But maybe more importantly for Cameroon, we have also heard that sometimes you have like other states who try to spy on your state by sending some spy softwares. What can you do about that? The only solution for a state like Cameroon is to form its own mathematicians, its own researchers, to be able to design its own softwares and also to fight against these threats. So I think it's easy to understand that this is of crucial importance for the country and the industry of the country.
And what observations have you had so far in Cameroon in relation to the teaching of mathematics in Cameroonian universities, especially at the University of Douala, where you were for 1 week?
What I have seen since I have arrived in Cameroon is excellent things, in the sense that I knew, and it's known all around the world, that Cameroon has a rich history and culture in mathematics. And from what I can see, after having visited many countries around the world, is that it is true. I mean, students here should be proud of the formations they get, and I think that the master developed by Emmanuel will be one other example of a hotspot where good mathematics can be done. Obviously, there are difficulties. I have heard that right now, for instance, there is not the possibility of starting a PhD. I hope that this situation is going to be only temporary, as for many students, this is obviously a big obstacle to develop their career.
Now, Professor Christophe Ransinhela, before we go, what advice, as a researcher in mathematics, what advice would you give to lovers of maths but who think they do not have strong or smart brains to study numbers?
Well, my first advice is that they shall believe that there is a good way to get a very good formation in Cameroon. That's the first one. As I said, there is a rich culture. There are very good professors in Cameroon, so there is really a way to develop a nice background in Cameroon. If you can't find the way to do it in your country, there are obviously opportunities to find maybe a master or a PhD grant abroad. And sometimes students are disappointed because the first time that they meet a professor, they think that, yeah, it's going to match directly, but it's not like this. Sometimes it needs a bit more time. So I just want to tell them to stay open and also to prepare themselves very well, getting the right background, because when they are going to meet the right person, they must be able already to discuss with this person with the right attitude and level.
Thank you very much, Professor Christophe Radzinhela, for accepting to be our guest and talking point tonight on the news on Equinoxe Television. Just to remind our viewers that you are a researcher in applied mathematics and the head of the International Center for Applied Sciences and Mathematics. Thank you again for being with us. Viewers, we thank you so much for being there. Thank you for the confidence. Our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes to you live from Yaoundé with Guy Zogo, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.